Hey guys, it's Tim, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited. As we are here on the wrong screen, there we go. We are here with the Monday Night Raw review. Sorry about that, black screen there at the beginning. Hit it on the wrong screen. We are here talking everything that went down tonight on Smackdown Live. And the end of the show was kind of a shocker. Surprise finish there. Talk about that when we get there. Excuse me for that. What is going on, everybody? Joining us in the live chat, we've got Alex Nelson, Luke Might, Henry McKenna Cavallo. We've got Noah Hall, E-Boogie. We've also got Lola Cruz, Dustin Hawk, Woken King Slender. Just a... Sorry. Drinking one of them Mountain Dew Game Fuels. Now it's got me the burps. Anyways, just a little heads up before we do get going. Depending on how long the actual SmackDown review portion of this goes, will depict if we do calls later. Because I got some things I got to take care of tonight. So I'm, going to get the review in. Maybe take a couple of calls. We can't go the normal hour. I don't got the time for that tonight. It's all good, though. So, with that, just letting some more of you jump in really, really quickly before we get going. And, over the weekend, they had announced that Kofi's Gauntlet was going to open up the show tonight. But that's not what happened. Apparently, as of yesterday, what the, I guess you can call it, the order of stuff for tonight was different yesterday than what happened today. So, that just tells you how often and how much they change things. But, no, Kofi did not open the show tonight. The Miz opened the show tonight. Miz made his way down to the ring to address Shane McMahon. He talked about the sacrifices he made and his friendship with McMahon. His greatest moment was when his father stood in the ring and told him that he was proud of him. Miz noted McMahon helped make that happen. When Miz teamed with McMahon, everyone in the back warned him. They told him, hey, this guy's different behind the scenes. He's rotten to the core. Just like his father is. He may to your face seem like a good guy, but in the end, he may screw you over, F you up. He said that they don't own him. That's like they don't own Kofi. Miz wasn't born rich. He wasn't given things. And he was just a boy from Cleveland who had to work for everything and was destined to be a burger flipper. But he worked his way out of Cleveland. People told him he was just average. Never had big success. Proved them all wrong. He won the WWE Championship. He beat John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania 27. Miz did it all on his own. He said, boo me, cheer me. It's all good. Miz was really good on the mic here. He said that his father didn't give him love. He earned that love. The fans didn't give him the respect. He earned the respect. He said after 13 years, he thinks he finally earned the fans over. Fans started chanting, you deserve it, and that was great to hear. He promised to beat McMahon at WrestleMania, and I think Miz's promo here was really, really great. I think all the years of him being a heel and people just hating the ever-loving crap out of him. Sometimes, to be a successful babyface, you have to be a really, really, really successful heel first, because if you try to be a babyface and you just don't get over with the crowd, like what Miz was, first came in. He flopped and fumbled away his way through things early on in his career. And it didn't work for him. So then they turned him heel. And he was an amazing heel. But now it's kind of like almost the Randy Orton effect. He's just been around for so long and proven himself as a workhorse, as somebody who's not going to ever say no. He's going to do what he's asked of, do what he's told of. He's going to go out there and he's going to perform to the best of his abilities every single night, as good as he can. And the fans are finally starting to realize that. So it's like, this Miz guy, he may not be one of the greatest in the ring. He may not be a Kofi, a Daniel Bryan, a Seth Rollins in the ring or anything. But he's always here for us. He's always here. I mean, his wife gave birth to their daughter. He didn't miss Mania. His plan was not to miss Mania no matter when she was born. So, I mean, Miz is, I guess, what you can call a workhorse. So after this, Sasha Banks and Bayley came out. For those that are unaware, this was actually Bayley's first match ever on Smackdown where they did face the Iconics here. The Iconics mocked them. This wasn't one of the better Iconic promos, I didn't think. But they mocked them and their issues with Natty, with Beth, with Tamina, with Nia. They claimed that Banks and Bayley were avoiding them, hence why they hadn't come to SmackDown yet. And they promised to defeat them tonight. So we got the Women's Tag Team Champions, Sasha Banks and Bayley, in a non-title match against the Iconics. And honestly, this match wasn't really all that great. I didn't think that there was anything special about this match. Peyton Royce looked a little sloppy. Billie Kay wasn't in long enough to even really gauge. So, Banks sent Royce. Let's see, where was I? The baby faces were firmly in control early. Lacey Evans' music hits. She walks down. Walks back out. Bayley was a little distracted by this. Iconics used that to their advantage, but it really didn't help that much. The heels isolated Bayley in their corner. Banks got the hot tag and ran wild. Banks pulled Billie Kay to the floor. Peyton Royce went after her, but Banks countered. Banks sent Royce to the sent her back into the ring. She did a springboard in the ring, but Kay tried to grab her legs. Banks kind of landed on Royce and looked at Kay. It was not that good looking. Bayley ran around the corner, but Kay rocked her with a big boot. Royce then rolled up Banks, and Kay held her down for the victory. Double pin here. They beat the champs. I do believe that at WrestleMania it will be Bayley and Sasha Banks defending against the Iconics, Nia and Tamina, and also Beth and Natty. So in the back, you got Kayla Braxton. She's like, with the Iconics defeating the Women's Tag Team Champions, what does that mean for them going forward? And here's my thing. If you're supposed to just randomly be in a locker room, why do you got Rey Mysterio t-shirts pinned up in the different lockers? Why do you got special blue and green lights in the different lockers as well, trying to highlight those t-shirts? It was some of the things they do. Just sometimes it's like, just make it seem more real. Don't make it seem so scripted. Don't make it seem so overproduced. And that's what it is when you got I noticed this before, but I don't know why this perturbed me tonight. When you got the t-shirts of whoever you're interviewing pinned up on the wall, then you got lights on them to emphasize them even more. But anyways, Kayla interviews Rey Mysterio. She says that Rey Mysterio's got an announcement about his plans for WrestleMania. Rey first introduces his 6-foot tall son. I mean, this kid's got to be like 6'2". I mean, one look at him and it's like, oh, Vince would like that tall fucker. Anyways, so Rey Mysterio, he's got Dominic here, and Dominic says, my dad, he's going to go to WrestleMania. Well, first Rey says he's going to challenge Samoa Joe for the U.S. title. And then Dominic says, my dad, he's going to go to WrestleMania, and he's going to defeat Samoa Joe, because Samoa Joe's been a bully. My dad's going to do what he does best, take down the bully and bring home a new title. Rey has never won the U.S. title. Maybe one of the only titles he hasn't won yet in WWE, outside of the Universal title, of course. All right, Joe Rogan guy, you're putting time out for that one. That's unnecessary. So basically, Dominic then says that he's going to sit front row for this match. He's going to be at WrestleMania. We'll see what happens if he gets involved or not. It'll be interesting to see if Joe and Dominic have any sort of dynamic over the next 2 weeks, because we've seen in the past, Joe ain't afraid to go after his challengers or his opponent's family. Saw it with Rey Mysterio, or the AJ Styles stuff. So with that, we then learned that we were getting, well, we already knew, but we got Kevin Owens coming out for the all-new KO show. It's got new and improved graphics, a new name, the KO show instead of the Kevin Owens show. He was wearing a t-shirt, a blazer, and a bright red tie. He called WrestleMania KO Mania, but this year, it's all about Kofi, actually. It was crazy how they've now got a lot of the people on the roster Not talking about, I want this for me at Mania, I want this for me at Mania. It's all, we want Kofi to get his shot at Mania. We want Kofi at Mania. All the different guys. The Miz brought it up. Mustafa Ali's brought it up. Kevin Owens brought it up here tonight. It's crazy what they're doing trying to get Kofi over, and it's working to an extent. So Owens turned his attention on his guest tonight. He brought out his first guest, the man, Becky Lynch. He would then bring out his second guest, the Queen, Charlotte Flair. Lynch walked to the ring with a slight limp, barely limping at all. Miraculous, she's fine, she's healed, woo, hallelujah. Fans broke out in a Becky chant. They booed Charlotte when she came out. Owens said nobody knows about best friends falling apart and becoming bitter rivals than he does. I mean, him and Sammy. You know, there's nothing more annoying than a best friend. He then said, now, I've done my homework. I've got some notes. And I'm going to ask you some questions about not just you two, but Ronda Rousey as well. He read from his cue cards. He pointed out that Ronda's not here, but she's always on Raw. He then read comments made by Flair. He said that they've done a lot of talking, but nobody wants to see them talk anymore. You want to see them fight. Everyone wants to see fight Becky fight or fight Charlotte fight. The two then stood up, got face to face, and Owens is like, oh, I'm getting the hell out of here. And he ducked out of the ring. Lynch and Flair then started brawling. They flew over the table they had in the middle of the ring. Security then ran out to break it up. Lynch and Flair were brawling on the floor at this point. They both slapped and took down freaking security guards. So Charlotte barely slaps the security guard, and all of a sudden the camera just quickly cuts, and it's like moving sporadically, and you see Becky literally take one of the security guys by the head and just flings him right into the barricade. And you hear Corey Graves goes, well, looks like Ronda's not the only one getting fined. I'm like, oh, there you, nice one, Corey. So they took down the officials. They tried to fight some more. The two of them. Becky chants loud in the building before it eventually was over. So Kayla Braxton was in the back. Once again, she was interviewing AJ Styles this time. He discussed his upcoming match at WrestleMania with Randy Orton. Styles pointed out that Orton had advantages that most people don't. He promised to tear the house down at WrestleMania. He then wished his good friend Kofi Kingston good luck later on tonight. Pro Wrestling Review with the $1.99 Super Chat donation. Thank you, but I'm not going to read that because I don't know what that means. Anyways, so before the Gauntlet match starts, WWE Champion Daniel Bryan and Rowan enter the ring. Bryan said Kofi Kingston being in this Gauntlet match is an injustice because he doesn't deserve the opportunity. The opportunity should be given to somebody else that actually deserves it. Bryan knows how it feels to be held down. He said Kofi wasn't held down, though. He was given the opportunity to replace Mustafa Ali in the Elimination Chamber. Bryan said that unlike him, Kofi is a B-plus player. I liked hearing that from actual Daniel Bryan. I liked hearing Daniel Bryan be the one to say that. Because it's like, he was the one that was called a B-plus player before. He was the one that was held down. But now, he's overcome all of that. He doesn't need to be called a B-plus player anymore because he's not. So, with that, he would then go on to state that Big E and Xavier were banned from ringside. They had to watch from the back. And I think that was the right thing to do. Banning the rest of New Day from ringside made complete sense, so that way they couldn't do any tomfoolery, any shenanigans to help Kofi get through this match quicker. It just helped the story progress even more, because if they weren't, quote-unquote, if it wasn't announced that they were banned, then the whole time the fans would be like, when's Xavier coming out? Oh, when's Big E going to come out? You know? So saying that before really was a good thing. So the first match we did get was Kofi Kingston versus Sheamus. And I think Sheamus looked really good here. Sheamus looked a lot better than he normally does. Sorry about that. All right. Pro Wrestling Review, whoever you are, you're gone. Sorry about that. Sheamus looked really good here. He locked on a chin lock early, but Kingston fought out and worked over the arm of Sheamus. Kingston set Sheamus to the floor and followed it up with a huge trust fall dive. Sheamus regained control with a knee, though. Cesaro kind of interfered behind the referee's back, hit an uppercut on Kingston. After commercial break, Kingston fired back with some chops. He hit the boom drop and set up for Trouble in Paradise. Sheamus caught the leg and attempted the cloverleaf. Kingston hit a crossbody for a close near fall. Sheamus then attempted a brogue kick, but Kofi rolled him up for a 2. Kingston then hit the Trouble in Paradise again, this time getting the victory, though. So I think, like I said, Sheamus looked really, really good here. I have heard some things about Sheamus's, condition, his body and stuff. Some do feel like he doesn't have much time left, that he could, could be coming up towards retirement here soon. I mean, Sheamus is, let me look this up. Sheamus is, how old is Sheamus? Sheamus is, I want to say he's almost 40. Oh, he is 40. He's 41. So who knows how much longer Sheamus can go. He does have back issues and whatnot. He has been really working hard to get in better shape. We've noticed that over the last year, so we'll see. So after he defeats Sheamus, I liked also, throughout this Gauntlet match, they kept showing in the back the baby faces watching. It started with just the New Day, then the Usos were there, then Mustafa Ali would show up, then the Hardys would show up, then you got Nikki Cross there. I loved that fact because it also, not only was it cool to see all the support for Kofi backstage, but also it gave us something else to look at while they were setting up for the next match. While Kofi got a little breather, while Mike Chiodo, had to referee this long match, got a little breather. So Sheamus was defeated. Cesaro was up next. Cesaro jumped Kingston right after pinning Sheamus since he was already out there ringside. Cesaro was firmly in control, but Kingston fought back. Kingston attempted a springboard crossbody, but Cesaro caught him, hit a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker for a near fall. After commercial break, Cesaro was firmly in control and locked on a cloverleaf submission. In a cool spot, Kingston tried to escape the submission, but Cesaro countered with a suplex. Cesaro attempted the neutralizer, but Kingston fought out of the hold. He then hit an SOS for the victory here on Cesaro. In the back, the New Day and the other babyfaces were just enthralled, loving seeing Kofi overcome the odds so far. So next up, we've got Rowan. And Rowan actually ends up getting disqualified here. I think if anybody should have got disqualified here, it should have been Samoa Joe. I don't think Joe should have been in this at all, since he is the United States champion. You don't want one of your champions actually going and being beat this close to WrestleMania. So I thought, when Rowan got disqualified, I was like, why couldn't Joe have got disqualified? Why couldn't Joe have been replaced by somebody else anyways? I mean, the perfect person that could have replaced Joe, I thought this. I saw a lot of other people online saying this as well. Rusev, and I'll talk about why I think Rusev would have been a good replacement once we get there. But Rowan jumped Kingston and dominated early. They then fought to the floor. Rowan then grabbed a chair, attacked Kofi with it, disqualification. Again, that could have been something we could have saw from Joe. Joe did not need to be pinned in this match when we do know that he's facing Rey Mysterio in about 3 weeks at WrestleMania with his U.S. title on the line. So after the disqualification, Rowan continued to beat down Kofi Kingston. Corey Graves pointed out that the New Day can't come and help him, or Kofi would be disqualified. Rowan gave Kingston the Iron Claw through the announce table. And then they show the New Day and all the baby faces in the back, and they're all really upset about this. It's like, New Day was banned from ringside. Nobody said the Usos, Mustafa Ali, the Hardys couldn't come out and help him. Especially after the DQ had already occurred. That match in this Gauntlet match was over. So next out was the United States Champion Samoa Joe. Joe was firmly in control. Kingston tried to fight back, but Joe shut him down with a comeback, or shut his comeback down. Kingston fired up with chops, but Joe took over. Once again, he got his back. Joe rocked Kingston with a clothesline for a close near fall. Joe attempted the coquina clutch, but Kingston hit a jawbreaker. Joe hit a uranagi for a 2. The finish came when Joe went for the muscle buster. Teased it, loved the tease, but Kingston rolled him up for the victory. Joe was not happy that he lost here, and he choked Kofi out with the coquina clutch. Now here's my thing. I think this should have been Rusev, not Samoa Joe. I already said why I don't think this should have been Joe. Your U.S. champion, who is defending his title at Mania in just 3 short weeks, should not be losing, should not be taking no pins. He can lose by DQ. Okay, cool, whatever. You ready to do that with Rowan? Should have been Rusev. Rusev could have done the same thing. Rusev could have got rolled up, could have got pinned, got pissed off afterwards, and put him in his submission, the Accolade. We had seen earlier in this match the back be worked on. Sorry about that. My mic went out for a second. Where was I? So, we could have solved this by Rusev, like I said. Sorry if I'm repeating myself a little bit. Because, excuse me, we already saw the bar work over the back of Kofi. So, putting him in the Accolade would have made sense. You've already got that back worked on earlier. Took a chair to the back. Put him in the Accolade. More hurting of the back. So Kofi chants were coming from the roster in the back. They were like, let's go Kofi, 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 Kofi. Like he can hear them. Anyways. Out last was Randy Orton. Not only did this make sense because of the last Gauntlet match, Randy Orton beat Kofi at the end, but who's been Kofi's biggest singles rival? Randy Orton. So Orton beat Kofi around ringside. He held Kingston against the barricade and called him stupid. He said, this man is stupid. Kingston fought back and sent Orton into the steps. Orton regained control and slowed the pace down with a chin lock. Kingston fought back with hard chops. He attempted a drop kick, but Orton sidestepped the move. Orton attempted an RKO, but Kingston countered with a Trouble in Paradise. Kingston crawled over to Orton, but Orton rolled out of the ring. After commercial break, Orton and Kingston fought on the top turnbuckle. Todd Phillips pointed out that Kingston had lasted roughly 50 minutes at this point. Kingston attempted a crossbody, but Orton rolled through for a near fall. Orton then hit a draping DDT, set up an RKO. Orton attempted the RKO, but Kingston rolled him up for the victory. So Kofi had won here. It looked like Kofi was victorious. They announced him as going to WrestleMania to challenge Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. New Day, the other members, Big E and Xavier Woods, came out to celebrate, and suddenly Vince's music hit. Vince would nonchalantly congratulate Kofi Kingston on his victory. He then announced that, Kofi, you can go to WrestleMania if you can defeat one more opponent. And out would come the WWE Champion Daniel Bryan. He said, Xavier, Big E, you guys need to leave or Kofi forfeits this match. So they walk up the ramp. They make eye contact with Daniel Bryan as he's walking down the ramp. Daniel Bryan has not looked this much like the GOAT in a very long time. He's got the long hair. That beard is just as long as his hair. The GOAT is back, but in a good way, because this look is great for a heel. So we get Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston. No title on the line, just the opportunity on the line. Bryan attacked Kofi with kicks in the corner. Bryan hit a huge backdrop off the top turnbuckle to Kofi. He applied the label lock, but Kofi made it to the ropes, barely getting his foot on them. Kingston hit the SOS for a close near fall. Kingston pretty much landed on his head. And he did this SOS. Daniel Bryan came down pretty hard. But also, Kofi landed right on the top of his dome. So then Bryan hit some running drop kicks in the corner. He hit about 3 or 4 of them. Kofi rolled him up for a near fall. Daniel Bryan kicks out. Kingston attempted a crossbody, but Bryan avoided it by moving out of the way, sidestepping. Finish of the match did come, though. Kofi Kingston took one of them Daniel Bryan running knees to the face and got pinned. 1, 2, 3. So essentially, we're supposed to think that Kofi is not going to WrestleMania. But here's the thing. Kofi is going to WrestleMania. We've got 2 more Smackdowns to put Kofi into this match, and it's going to happen. Just like at WrestleMania 30, when it came down to the wire, when we thought Daniel Bryan was not going to have a match at WrestleMania, not going to get an opportunity, he got an opportunity. Do we get Occupy SmackDown? Do we get the crowd rushing in on Kofi's behalf to be what do I want to say, in the ring with him like we saw Daniel Bryan? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But all things considered, I do think Kofi is still getting the match. Everything I'm hearing, the plan is still Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston. Their thought is, we screw this guy every which way to Sunday, a million different times before WrestleMania. The more we screw him, the more the crowd's behind him, the more all the different baby faces on SmackDown say support Kofi, they're going to support Kofi. And finally, he goes to Mania. Now, someone brought up a point to me that kind of changed my thought on, maybe Kofi can win this title at WrestleMania. What's the next big show after WrestleMania? That is actually the Saudi Arabia show. Who refused to go to the last Saudi Arabia show? Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan did not want to go to Crown Jewel. He's not going to want to go to this next one in May. So maybe they do take the title off of Daniel Bryan and put it on Kofi Kingston, so that way the WWE champion does ultimately go to Saudi Arabia, because, you know, the Prince is going to want the champion there. He's going to want the WWE champion there. Excuse me. So, I don't know if that's possible. I mean, anything's possible at this point, but maybe they're screwing Kofi 6 ways to Mania for a reason, because the more times they beat him, the more the fans are going to get behind him, and then we're going to get what we want at WrestleMania with Kofi becoming the champion. Now, that's not what I want. I'm a Daniel Bryan fan through and through. But here's the thing. There is that possibility that Kofi wins. Maybe I'm wrong on the reason why. My reasoning of, you want the champion to go to Saudi Arabia, so you take the title off of Daniel Bryan if he won't go. You want to put the title back on him at Money in the Bank or something, but I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this all goes. I still believe Kofi is getting the match. I think Kofi is going to have a pretty good match with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. I think they've worked very hard building this up. Both guys work well together. We've seen that over the past month or so. And with that, that was Smackdown. Smackdown Live tonight. It's all right. It had some good points. More highs than lows. Excuse me. Had more high points than low points. Joe Decker says, Tim, do you think it looked like Randy kicked out on Kofi? I think the reason it looked like that is because they wanted it to seem like Kofi barely beat him, because it was the last match. It was the last match of the Gauntlet match, and Kofi was so tired down that he could barely he won, but he barely won. So with that, if anybody does want to call in and give me their thoughts on tonight's SmackDown, we'll go a little bit. 559-475-8473. Again, 559-475-8473. We can go about roughly 10 minutes or so before I got to head out, wrap things up. Let's take this first call, already coming in hot. Caller in the air, what's going on?
Hey Tim, how you doing?
Pretty good, yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. I won't say I feel pretty good, because the end of SmackDown kind of got me. So, but I got one question for you. So, you know how Daniel Bryan said that Kofi Kingston is a B+ player?
Right.
So, it made me think, so far, whose WrestleMania story is better? Bryan's or Kofi's?
Well, what's Bryan's story?
Well, I mean, like, leading, like, from this point to WrestleMania. Like,
oh, are you talking about, like, Bryan in WrestleMania 30 or Bryan right now?
WrestleMania 30.
Probably Daniel Bryan.
Why do you say that?
I think with Daniel Bryan's whole thing, yes, both Bryan's and Kofi's were both organic, getting the crowd behind them. As far as this was never meant for anybody, this whole run. Because if you think about it, the WWE title match at WrestleMania, it's not like, oh, well, this was all supposed to be Mustafa Ali. No. This was actually supposed to be, like, not this storyline, but the Mania match was supposed to be Bryan versus Owens. Everything got switched when Kofi got over so hard. But I think Daniel Bryan's thing was better because what it is that we'd never seen the storyline of them beating the babyface over and over and over and over. Now, we've already seen that storyline. To me, this just seems like they're redoing that storyline with Kofi Kingston. Beating him multiple times, him still trying to get into the match, him getting opportunity after opportunity. So I think the reason now this is all opinionated, but I think I might like the Daniel Bryan one better from WrestleMania 30, is because it was new at the time. Ever since then, they've been trying that with a lot of different people. They've tried it with Bayley. They tried it with Sami Zayn. They've tried it now here with Kofi, with Becky Lynch. I just feel like this beat the babyface a million times before finally getting the opportunity has been too overdone, in my opinion. So that's why the Kofi one doesn't seem... I'm not knocking the Kofi storyline. I think it's been done well, but I just feel like it's too similar to the Daniel Bryan one.
Yeah. Well, with my thing, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love what WWE is doing with Kofi. I would prefer the Daniel Bryan story, but my thing with the Kofi story is the time. Like, because Kofi hasn't gotten the WWE Championship opportunity in 11 years. That's a perfectly good thing to bounce it off of.
Right.
Now, with Bryan, I forgot how it bounced off because of the Authority and SummerSlam.
Correct.
But that's why I would say Kofi in some ways because of the 11 years thing.
I can maybe see where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's like you said, Daniel had been screwed for August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. He'd been screwed a million times for 7 months, 8 months. Yeah. It wasn't supposed to be. Just like this Kofi thing. This wasn't supposed to happen. The Daniel Bryan thing wasn't supposed to happen, but it ended up taking a storyline that started 7 months ago and tying it into WrestleMania. The Kofi Kingston thing took something that happened 2 months ago, month ago, and made it a WrestleMania thing. So that's the other thing where, both happy accidents.
Yeah.
So.
But all right, man. Have a nice night, and not good luck on the stream, but thanks for the stream.
All right, thanks for the call. Have a great night.
You too, man.
Now I want to address Mark Brown in the live chat. He said it wasn't originally going to be Bryan. It was originally going to be CM Punk. Yes and no. You're right and you're wrong. So when it came to WrestleMania 30, the plan was a singles match for the WWE Undisputed Championship, if you want to call it that, World Heavyweight Championship. Orton had both belts, the WWE and the World title. Batista won the Rumble. It was literally supposed to be main event of WrestleMania 30 was supposed to be Batista versus Randy Orton. CM Punk was supposed to face Triple H. It was not ever going to be if CM Punk beats Triple H, he goes on to the main event. That was not going to be a thing. CM Punk reportedly went to Vince, went to Triple H, and said, why are you guys not pushing Daniel Bryan as your top guy? Look how good he is, how over he is with the crowd. CM Punk then looked at Triple H, apparently. This is all his wording from the Colt Cabana podcast, and he said that he told Triple H, I've wrestled you before. I don't see any reason why I should have to wrestle you again at WrestleMania. Like, it does nothing for me. He told Triple H that. So when people say, well, the Daniel Bryan story was originally supposed to be a CM Punk story, no, it wasn't. And that's why I say both of these were happy accidents. With Daniel Bryan, if Punk would have never left, they would have never shifted. Did Daniel Bryan Triple H would ultimately ended up with Daniel Bryan going to the main event and winning the title. That would have never happened if Punk didn't leave. It wasn't like that was planned for Punk. Also, if Mustafa Ali would have never got injured and pulled from the Gauntlet match in the Elimination Chamber, then this would have never happened with Kofi. Kofi would not have been inserted into the Gauntlet match, Elimination Chamber, wouldn't have had the opportunity to get over the way he has. Again, both happy, fortunate accidents. Let's take another call. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, man. What's going on, Tim?
How's it going? Pretty good.
Good. All right. I got two questions and a rundown. First one, this is reflecting on last week, but because we didn't see her, are you excited for Sonya Deville solo push? Because I kind of saw last week Mandy kind of getting in her way and could be paging towards her breakup. So are you excited for that? I'm a little excited for that.
I mean, Sonya Deville has improved over the last couple of years, especially since coming to the main roster. I don't know if I could say that I'd be excited for a solo push because I don't know how they would do it. Because she's not like somebody that they've really been pushing anyways. I feel like if they were to do a solo thing, it would probably end up being her versus Mandy with Mandy going over.
All right, but you aren't, like, shooting down the idea of her getting a chance to kind of shine a little bit solo.
No, not at all. I think with her MMA gimmick, once Ronda's gone, then she can really push that MMA back around. And then maybe she does something with Shayna Baszler when Shayna Baszler comes up and we see who's got the real better grappling chops and stuff. I'm not pushing down that she can do well. I'm just saying that if it came down to it, I think that they would use her as somebody that would get how do I word this? If they were to push her singles, then they would also be pushing Mandy singles, and Mandy would get pushed higher, and they would use her as someone for Mandy to beat, unfortunately.
Okay. Second question would be, if Becky Lynch was to pin Ronda, because rumors is that Ronda's going to be leaving after Mania, if Becky was to pin Ronda and win the title, which I'm hoping would happen, does that mean the Raw Women's title would then be a part of SummerSlam, and that we would kind of culminate or work way to having Asuka versus Becky? Because I feel like champion versus champion, Asuka versus Becky would be a big-time money bag for WWE, and I think that would be the way that Vince would want to shoot when it comes to a triple threat women's main event at WrestleMania.
Why would you need to do champion versus champion? Like, I don't get where you're coming from, where you would even get that.
Because it's like you have these two women. Asuka was furiously dominant back in NXT, and is still somewhat furious dominant on, the main roster. And Becky's this fire-hot commodity who also could be furiously hot at times. She's kind of slowed down a little bit, but she still has that momentum. And a champion versus champion thing, like, I feel like that would be great for, like, women's wrestling in general. For those two.
That's who we got Survivor Series for, bud.
Well, I feel like this one would be a little bit bigger.
But, so you're saying not give opportunity to other women? I mean, you've got a Raw Women's Champion that should defend her title
I'm not saying don't give opportunity. It's just that they set it up like this.
I don't see this at all.
Becky,
I don't see any way you get to woman champion versus woman's champion at SummerSlam at all.
Well, not like at SummerSlam. Probably build it up to another WrestleMania, like long time planning. I think it would definitely benefit.
I mean, the only reason you would do that outside of Survivor Series is if you're unifying the titles, and they should not unify the women's championships. To me, it just makes no sense at all. But with that, I want to say thank you for the call and have a great night.
Okay.
All right, just run through. Like I said, I got limited time here. We'll take two more calls. Caller on the air, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
How's it going, bud?
Yeah, pretty good. I just had a few questions. I had two questions here. Now, I am, and we didn't see Asuka tonight.
Right.
And I'm wondering, why are they giving, all right, we're about 2.5 weeks away from WrestleMania. Like, what are they doing with the SmackDown Women's title match for WrestleMania? Like, what are they doing? Where are they going? Like, why aren't they giving, any, at least a storyline? I mean, or any airtime for Asuka as far as WrestleMania. They keep giving it to Becky and Charlotte, so what's going on.
I mean, honestly, your guess is as good as mine. I've tried to figure this out. No one knows anything. I've been trying to see, hey, what's going on with Asuka? What are they going to do with the SmackDown Women's Championship? I heard a couple different things, and none of it seems like it's actually going to happen. And then with them not having my whole thing, I don't want to harp on it tonight because I've harped on it the whole last 3-4 weeks.
Do you think they don't have a match versus Asuka at Mania?
I honestly don't know, but like if they are going to have a SmackDown Women's title match at WrestleMania, they need to start building that up. And my whole thing is, like I said, I don't want to harp on this tonight because I've been a lot. Why are you on SmackDown giving time? They gave like 10 minutes almost to a Raw storyline, a Raw match.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I get it.
Exactly.
I get it. Charlotte and Becky are quote-unquote SmackDown superstars, so their whole stuff's got to happen on SmackDown. No, it doesn't. They're going for a Raw title. They don't have to be on SmackDown. They could be on Raw.
It's like the story. I feel like the story for them, for the Raw Women's title, it's already set. Like we already know what's gonna happen. We know they don't like each other. We know the whole thing with Ronda. So yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I'm like they're 2.5 weeks away from WrestleMania, and it's like nothing, like no storyline for Asuka.
Here's my fear. We still haven't got the announcement of the Women's Battle Royal. I just don't want to see them all of a sudden the last week going into saying, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing a Women's Battle Royal WrestleMania. Asuka's title's on the line. I mean, Asuka can go out there, eliminate like 10 women and look super dominant in victory, but it's like, what does that really accomplish?
No, she deserves a one-on-one match.
I mean,
they can't do that.
Right. I mean, or at least some sort of a triple threat or a fatal four-way or something. But with them not announcing anything, I feel like it could come down to that. I don't have any, no one's told me that or anything, but it's just the fact of, at this point, are they going to just announce something the last minute and that's what it could be? I don't know. Right.
But my other question is, when Kofi lost, like, I'm on the same boat with you. Like, I still think that he's gonna be at WrestleMania because, like you said, it is 2.5 weeks away. So you can't just like throw it away, and just announce a random opponent for Daniel Bryan. But how do you think like they're gonna do it? Like, how do you think he's gonna get his chance?
Kofi?
Yeah, because you know how like Daniel Bryan occupied Raw. So like, do you see him doing something like that? Not occupying Raw, but I mean SmackDown, but just like doing something.
I can see something similar. Yeah. Maybe not the exact same thing, but I can see something similar. Like the New Day comes down and they say we're not leaving until Kofi gets his justice for Kofi or something.
Yeah. Or maybe like the whole roster comes out as like, we want, they come out to the ring and like, we're not leaving until you give Kofi the match.
Right. It's hard to say because the way this storyline has gone on, it's just too many parallels to the Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 story. And I don't want to just go out there and say, oh, well, they're going to occupy SmackDown. They're going to have all the fans come out there. Or they're going to have... Because this time it could be the roster, like you said, because all the babyfaces keep saying, pull for Kofi. Let's get behind Kofi. So... I honestly... I do believe Kofi's going to get the match. I just don't know how.
Right, yeah, it's like, it's a head scratcher at this point.
Exactly.
But have a good night.
All right, thank you. Have a great night. All right, breaking news from the WWE's Twitter, from their YouTube. We have learned what they are actually going to do with the SmackDown Live Women's Championship at WrestleMania. According to the WWE Twitter account, it says, things are going to get a little more complicated between Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, because they'll face Carmella and Naomi separately next week. The winner will face Asuka at SmackDown Live. So, if I read that correctly, the winners of those two separate women's matches next week on SmackDown then go forward for a triple threat at WrestleMania. That's what it looks like is going to happen. It looks like we could be getting... Now, let me go to WWE.com for a second. Let me do some investigating while we're here live really fast before we do wrap things up. But it does look like we are getting a triple threat for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. Looking at things here, let's see. They don't have anything yet explaining this on WWE.com. But it does look like, I don't know what the matches are going to be, whether it's Mandy and Carmella or Sonya and Carmella, Mandy and Naomi or Sonya and Naomi. But we're getting some of those, some kind of combination of that next week on SmackDown. And it's weird how this tweet is referenced. It says Mandy and Sonya will face Carmella and Naomi separately next week. The winner will face Asuka. I think it might supposed to say winners. I'll look into this and I'll update you guys here tonight, either on the website pwunlimited.net or right here on YouTube. We'll probably do both. Let you guys know exactly what's going on once I figure it out. But it does look like the Women's Championship match for SmackDown at Mania will also be a triple threat match, with Asuka defending against the likes of either Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Carmella, or Naomi. Any combination of those four to make up the triple threat. But with that, I want to say thank you guys for joining me here live for tonight's SmackDown Live review. Tonight's SmackDown was a better show probably than last night's Raw. I thought for everything that happened tonight, there was more good than bad, unlike last night's SmackDown or Raw, where there was a little more bad than good. A lot of you in the chat, I haven't watched the actual video, I just read the tweet. So that's why I said I don't know exactly, but they say it's a fatal four-way. Okay. Well, no, wait. Keep it locked right here on PW Unlimited, right here on YouTube. I will let you guys know exactly what's going on with the SmackDown Live Women's Championship picture going into WrestleMania. Again, thank you for joining me here. You can hit that notification bell to get notifications when we go live. It looks like more people than normal got a notification tonight. So that's good. Last 2 weeks, people have not been getting notifications. So hit that bell if you still really didn't get a notification. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. Follow us on Twitter at PW1 or at PW Unlimited, and follow our website pwunlimited.net. We'll see you guys next time. Should be live again on Monday, but I'm thinking maybe doing a gaming stream this weekend, doing some Jackbox where you guys can interact and play along. I'll let you guys know ahead of time. Have a good night, guys.